be our first take, I think. And God blimey, my poor old knees. So
yes, mate.
I was going to say to you, one of the things we've got to talk about is how you get started.
Yeah, I've started, didn't I? Yeah.
We've kind of already started. Yeah. But Andy Viner.
Yes, mate.
Gary James.
Gary James.
In the wood. In what wood?
Shoe Woods. I call it Shoe Woods.
Shoe Woods.
Shoe Woods, yeah, I call it Shoe Woods.
Why is it Shoe Woods?
It was called Shoe Woods. It's not officially called Shoe Woods, as far as I'm aware, but I nicknamed it Shoe Woods because once when I was here with the wife, there was a whole load of old shoes which had washed up, honestly, down the bottom.
Right, so
it was in the winter time.
East Sussex,
East Sussex,
the middle of nowhere, in the woods,
and there was a
you find a
load
of
old shoes, but they were like old, worn boots, you know, all covered in moss, really old things. And then I spoke to it, well, we didn't know much about it, but we nicknamed it Shoe Woods after that. And I was here painting one day, just along this path, and I bumped into a really nice guy, and I was chatting to him for about 20 minutes, and I said to him about that, and he said, this is not, I don't know this officially, but he said to me that this area up here was an old Victorian dumping ground where they used to dump stuff in the old Victorian times. And apparently sometimes the water washes through, you know, like that stream we saw that come through, it washes through, it does get very boggy down the bottom end in the winter time. And it obviously picked up all this waste, including these old Victorian boots, and washed them down there. So it's just kind of stuck really, but I quite like Shoe Woods.
And you still get Victorian shoes occasionally?
All the time. I haven't seen them since. No, I haven't seen them since.
I have to say,
that one it was quite eerie. It's got, you know what I was saying to you, it's got quite an eerie kind of
you said it was
feeling to this place. Yeah, it's got a weird, I mean, not so much today when it's spring and it's looking as lovely, and you've got the bird songs. We got some little mice down here.
Oh, these are, I'll tell you what, Harvey the cat, my cat.
Oh, yeah, my cat, she
They wouldn't last 5 minutes.
She'd be scared stiff of them.
We could have bought him, actually.
He would have been quite happy, wouldn't he? Yeah, I could have been on the
He'd have been very happy to have been rooting around in them.
But yeah, but in the winter time, I mean, I've been here loads. Winter time, when it's a little bit moodier, a little bit greyer, it does have kind of a weird,
ghostly.
Yeah, it's just
haunted,
an undertone to it, which I like. Yeah, it's just that moodiness, which I quite like. You know me, I love a bit of moodiness.
You do. Your paintings are often moody, and I think I was trying to figure out when we first met, because it must have been about 8 years ago.
I was thinking this morning. Yeah, it's been about 8 years.
When I turned
because we bumped
years old.
We bumped into each other, haven't we? At a few of some of the art kind of do's in Rye.
Some of the Rye art do's.
Yeah, and we'd sort of, because I bumped in, but we'd never really spoke properly.
No, we didn't speak. And then there was a show on at the
old school,
the art,
the old Frida Garden.
Yeah,
when I had my, that was my, that was my second studio there.
Yeah,
which I used to nickname the toilet studio.
I thought it was the laundry.
It was the old laundry.
That studio was haunted.
It had, that did have some weirdness, because the door locked on me once. That whole room was a bit eerie.
It wasn't just
it might have been. I had to get the security guy. I had to phone him because I couldn't get the door locked. I don't know how it locked. There was someone just playing a prank. I don't know, but yeah, that was always an eerie building. But that was a good studio. That I like that studio.
Yeah, I like that studio as well. So I met you there,
and that was an open studio.
The first two big paintings that I ever bought
were
those from there. And funnily enough, we were talking about this earlier on before we came out. Yeah. One of them in particular is, you've always said to me, was your favourite.
It was, Narcissus, I don't know if we can do some trick editory here to try and put it in.
I'll put it up so that
I said I can't do. Anyone who's watched my videos will know that I really can't edit very well. But yeah, Narcissus, that painting, I think still, because I saw it this morning when I came around, didn't I? Yeah. It's still probably the closest. I got to the closest what I wanted to say the best, I guess, in that paint. I don't know. It was something about that picture. Because whenever you're painting something, you're trying to say something. Well, I am. And it's very rarely you get to where you want to be with it. There's always, you know what I'm like with I think a lot of artists are very critical. I think you've got to be very critical of your work. And there's nothing ever perfect about them, obviously. But that painting, I'm not saying it was perfect, but what I wanted to say, that it worked with that picture.
You always said to me that you only sign at the point
when I'm happy with
when
it.
you're happy with it. And I have been responsible in the past for stopping
Yes.
you.
Scrubbing them down, yeah. Again,
There was one and you did one.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. It was. I think that was Breed Highwood.
that
wasn't
was
it? Oh, was it?
your painting. Was
That's the one I called
that
my
was top of
painting.
the top of Rye Hill. That was.
And I came down to the studio, and you just finished it.
Yeah, it was still wet on the side.
Well,
wasn't it?
you would. Yeah, it was.
Oh,
it was
sitting
very
there.
wet.
It was very wet. It was.
And you were just about to start
Yeah.
your
Scrubbing process.
Now, you might need to explain
Yeah. So again,
to the
a
viewer.
lot of creatives
to my
do this.
viewer.
A lot of artists do this. I think. When you finish a painting, you'll walk away from it and you'll be like, that's all right. That's half decent. And then you come back the next day, and you'll be like, that's just missed the mark. I don't like it. And I can't have things sitting around if they haven't worked and I don't like them. I just don't. So I scrub them. So I'll just, if they're still wet, again, this is what a lot of people do. I'll scrub it off, get my thinners, scrub it all down. If it's fairly dry, sand it all back, or I'll just take it off the stretcher completely and just, sometimes I'll
but
turn
there's
them
a
around,
difference
regesso them back out. And
There's a difference between scrubbing in the sense of you don't like it and you want to get rid of it. I mean, we all say that, don't we? We'll scrub that for a lot.
scrub that for a lot, but yeah.
But there is one of your techniques which I personally haven't seen any other artists that do this. And you'll probably say, well, that's because you don't know nothing about art.
No.
but and that's the one where you take the painting back to the canvas.
Yeah, again, yeah.
I thought that's what you called
Scrubbing, yeah. I mean, scrubbing down. I mean, you can call it scumbling. There's all sorts of I mean, I'm not averse with the technical terms. I just do what I do with it. But yeah, that is one method that I used to do quite a lot, and it's a way you can kind of, especially with oil paint, you can create a nice glow with the oil paint. You can just take the paint, and sometimes you'll be left with like a little ghost sort of trace or something behind, and then you can layer on top of it. A lot of the work, it will sit there, and it will sit there for months, and I'll just leave it, and then I might come back to it and be like, that's not too bad.
Mutual hero Howard Hodgkin,
yeah,
we both absolutely love.
Yeah,
Some
absolutely.
of his paintings are years.
Just he'll do one little, and then it will sit. And I get that, because I mean, you're never working on one. I would never just sit and be like, that's dedicate my time only for this one picture. I'll have something on the go, then that will sit. I'll get to a point, that will sit. I'll ping something else out. I'll have something sitting on the shelf or the studio, whatever, that's been there for 2 or 3 months. I'll pull that back out. It all just depends on what you're trying to get to with the work, really. I don't paint.
Your styles have changed a lot over the years, haven't they? Because I remember after I bought, it was Narcissus, your favourite, and I bought Sticks at the same
as well, which
time,
is
which, funnily enough, of the two, it was Sticks,
which
I was drawn to.
I seem to remember that, because that was still, again, I think that was still wet in the studio, wasn't it? Because I think Narcissus was in the show there, and I think Sticks wasn't framed. I think that was still on the
I'm going to put up a picture. You're probably looking at it now. This is Narcissus. Is there anything you'd like to say about Narcissus?
You
know who he was? He fancied himself.
He did, which is why it's kind of got the pull there, yeah. But it was one of those weird paints. It just worked. I don't know why. I don't know.
No, Sticks, but not Narcissus.
Sticks was
Sticks,
that's the
Sticks
is
the river.
That's the river.
The river of the dead.
And, you give them a penny and you go across the river.
That proves I know nothing about art.
We're not cultured. We don't try and be cultured. Me and Gary often meet up in the pub. And we'll have a ramble on.
We'll have a pint.
And this is why we thought, you know what, it'd be nice to actually, and we often discuss art and literature, all the sophisticated subjects over a pint or two. And that's why we thought it'd be nice to bring it to the masses.
And Sticks,
all
tell
five
me about Sticks. All five, my viewer.
Yeah. Them mice are really going at it down there.
They're really going.
I don't know if you might pick them up on the microphone, the rustling sound and the squeaking sound.
We've had the cuckoo as well.
It's lovely down there.
First cuckoo of the year.
Yeah, it's really a lovely spot.
So, Sticks. Obviously, there's a mythical theme.
There is, yeah, and this is a whole phase that I went through, which I still do now, which is I've always been interested in mythology, old legends, old tales, and I used to kind of I used to do a lot of reading about them, and I used to try and bring in elements of places that I've seen. Again, Turner was very like this, as far as I'm aware.
He's big hero, isn't he?
I adore Turner. Honestly, if someone said you have anything, I would love to just spend the day in a studio with Turner. I mean, how incredible. He wouldn't want me there, and he'd be swearing at me constantly because, but he didn't like an audience painting really, but it would be amazing to see. But the way he paints, the way he works, they're just, I mean, you can't not be just.
And he was a bit of an H dropper as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he was very down to earth, wasn't he?
Cockney, yeah, very Cockney. It never forgot his roots. Never was. Yeah, he was just, but he was. You couldn't deny the skill. I mean, just incredible what he did. And had his critics, of course. I don't like all his work, but most of it I do.
I don't know. I mean, I think I probably got. We did a count up, didn't we? I've got 24 of your paintings.
A lot of them, yeah.
Do you realise I've actually been keeping you eating?
Pretty much, yeah. You're getting a roof over my head.
For the last
like, Gary was one of those. Gary was those things. We met as a mutual interest in art and my work, and just as a collector's, as a client, really, which is what you were. But quickly we just kind of bonded, didn't we? Really, and he's become my best mate, really. You know, and we've had so many
piss nights.
Nights. I'm talking about. But it's nice to be able to, you know, very much on the same wavelength. And we both shared artists, haven't we? We both shared, like, said, oh, have you seen this artist? Have you seen this? You know, we both sort of shared that. We've done our London sort of visits and stuff to see some good shows. So it's nice to have that kind of connection.
Yeah, we have.
But,
and then
although I took you up, didn't I, to the Tate to try and show you the claw gallery.
Well, you did.
It was shut.
And it was shut, yeah.
So you had to see the Fighting Temeraire instead, which is not a bad thing.
I had to suffer the
Fighting
Temeraire
instead, which is fine.
Wasn't it voted the nation's favourite painting?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
No, so apart from, so they were Sticks and Narcissus, the first two that I bought, and after that, I think might have been Marcus's show at
that was,
Macaulay and Crane, which is, if you ever get a chance to go to Macaulay and Crane, Marcus, you better give me a bung for this.
Commission, I don't know.
Commission,
honestly,
no.
No,
No, but it's a great gallery in Ryan.
It is, and a huge thanks to Marcus, because he has been a supporter of my work for 8 years, 9 years now. I keep asking the same question, but no. So kudos to him for taking a risk, risk at me when, you know, when not everyone would have done.
Yeah. So you had a show there, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a show there, which I don't know if you went to the first show. I did the first show, which I think was Simple Image. I think that was cool, which was very pared down, quite.
Yeah,
sort of,
I must have.
And then I did the second show.
I must have been at Bingo.
You must have been that night. That's more important.
But I definitely went to the second one.
And then there was a second show, which we had.
That
there.
kind of started me off. And then I started visiting the Haunted Laundry.
The Haunted Laundry.
Was it the laundry room?
It was a laundry room, yeah. It was next to the loo, yeah. It was small and narrow, but what I liked about that studio was that it had only one little window at the back, which only went on the car park, and it just had the lights, the windows, the skylights at the top. So you had a very nice, natural kind of light, and there was no distractions in there. I was able to just get on with painting, which is all I wanted to do, really.
But it was difficult to turn around in there.
There wasn't a lot of room for the. I mean,
it was very
Sticks
small.
is quite a big painting,
and then
it was quite awkward to do that sort of size.
Move to the bigger room.
I moved to the lovely big studio.
Didn't you just walk in there and think, this is nice? I'll
Pretty much. It was sitting there empty, and then
squatters' rights or something.
There was something like that. Yeah. I don't know, but I don't know.
I have to say,
but it was a lovely studio. That was the best.
Viewer. That if you, I think like most people, I had an image of what an artist studio would be like.
Well, you never saw my first studio, did you? Yeah,
well, I didn't see your first studio, but I kind of imagined that you would, first of all, have that funny hat on.
Oh, the beret, yeah.
The beret and
the smock, yeah, of course.
And then that everything would be kind of on easels and paints all beautifully laid out on, and in fact, I have to say, the mess.
It was none of that. It was none of that. And it never has been. No,
it was. Put it this way: it's a good job that neither of us smoke.
No, it was quite flammable.
Because it was quite flammable.
It was, but that was No, I don't. Organisation isn't my thing. I'm not. It's not the way I work. I admire anyone. Even like with sketchbooks, so we could talk about sketchbook, who has a pristine kind of, I don't, that's not me, you know. I mean, there's order to it. I know where things are, I can go to stuff, but it's not the way I work. Because I paint in a flurry. When I go for it, I go for it. And it's it's just, savage. And it's not an ordered, structured thing, you know. It's chucking paint around and it's doing it like that and scrubbing it down and chucking it. It goes up the wall, goes all on the floor. It's just.
Were you always like that though?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, even from the early, because I've got some of your really early.
They were quite again. It was unordered. It was a messy environment, but they were much more structured sort of paintings. Really, they were.
And I subsequently bought some of your earliest. What's the earliest one that I've got of
Probably
yours?
was the Lighthouse, actually.
The Lighthouse's
ones, yeah, they were.
Which I'm now showing you, viewer.
This is a whole different world to what I do now. But I was always interested in naive art and that kind of. Alfred Wallace, who I adore, who was a real pure naive. Naive art is a tricky thing to sort of. Because it can be forced quite a lot, you know. It can be forced quite a lot, and it, you know. But I love that. I love it even now, the pared down kind of aspect, and I love the simple kind of. And I love the harbours and the coasts, and I like to like drawing those.
Yeah.
And I used to love, a whole different world really to what I paint now. But it all follows a pathway.
Talking of naive art, I have to mention my favourite film. Which is, had you seen it before?
I never even heard of it.
Well, my favourite film is The Rebel, in which Tony Hancock gets mistaken by a group of existentialists in Paris as a great artist, when in fact he has no talent at all. And there's a convoluted story. But it is very funny.
It's a great film.
And I kind of got you switched on to that.
Yeah, it's a great film.
But his art was described as
naive,
wasn't it?
Yeah, that's all.
And then I remember when I showed it to you, and I'm going to put a clip in of this shortly. The painting ducks in flight that he does in this, it really is one of my favourite bits of the film.
Great painting.
Let's watch the clip.
It's a good film.
Oh, crumbs. What's this one supposed to be?
I call that ducks in flight.
I've never seen beetroot coloured ducks before.
When they fly at a fair lick, those ducks, they're up out of the water and away. You just have to whack on whatever you've got on the brush at the time.
So, ducks in flight. And I almost was going to commission you.
I know, to do a version of that. I'd happily have done that. I would happily have done that. I would happily have done beetroot coloured
before.
ducks.
I thought that would be
it's a good film.
Really good. But that sort of naive art that he did.
It's a real, there's a love of mine for that sort of. I guess I've always seen myself as a naive artist. I don't know, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, whatever. I mean, I've done the studies that I've always wanted to do. I'm not, I didn't do university or anything like that. I just never did. I've always done this, but I never saw it.
Do you always sketch before you?
Always. But there's never I never sort of.
You don't sit down in front of a blank canvas and bash one out.
No, it's always driven by these. I wouldn't do that. It used to be camera. I've said this. I do have a look on the website. Have a look at it because I've got blogs on my website and stuff that I sort of.
I'll put the email,
my
contact, your website
thing on there,
details,
and I used
probably
to
underneath us
somewhere down there. And I used to take the camera out, and I used to use that, but I used to find it quite. I've got a love-hate with the camera, you know. It doesn't work for my work and the way I used to go out with a digital camera.
So you wouldn't do a Hockney then?
I wouldn't do that. No, it doesn't work for what I do in the old. What I used to paint way back. It used to sit with the work and that's how. But it doesn't for me now. It doesn't work. No, it has to be drawings. It has to be. But I don't sort of. I wouldn't come to a place like this if I was just sketching, sit in one spot, draw one particular scene, then go home and paint that. It wouldn't. It's not the way I work. It would be a whole combination of drawings. It would be just drawing.
So
drawing,
walking
sketching.
through this, I mean, it is stunning.
It's lovely.
This wood is really stunning. What makes you stop?
Anything that's interesting, I think. Anything that I see, and it can be spots that I've stopped before that I like, because there's particular trees that I go back to.
And you mentioned light as well.
Light, always light, if that's coming through, colours, anything that just, I know, it is, it works. It's weird, but it does, that's what it is. Anything that's interesting. I think it's the same thing again when you relate it to camera, or anything that stops someone and makes them look. It's hard to know what it is that, whether it's the movement or something, whether it's just a particular, something which they find aesthetically pleasing. you'll stop and you draw it. And I don't know what it is that makes you want to, what makes me want to stop and record a particular thing. And a lot of the drawings, there's no order to these. There's no, you know, I mean, there's some of these ones are dated 2022. There's no structure to them.
Would you ever go, I mean, at the time of recording, we're in beginning of, I can't remember what month it is.
Spring.
God,
Beautiful.
good job I'm not doing one of them tests.
Cognitive. We could do that.
Is it still it's May?
It is, yeah.
I don't know
It's
what.
just started.
I don't know
We've
what.
just started in May.
Don't ask
Spring
me
is
who the
still,
Prime Minister
bluebells
is.
are going down.
Right.
Bluebells are going
So, would you ever go backwards in your sketches?
Always, yeah. I've got a whole pile, a shelf in my little studio, and all, you know, there'll be times when I'll draw them out, and if there's a particular scene, particular place, whatever, I'll pull them out and I'll have a look through. But there's no kind of, there's no like particular drawing that I've done which it'll be a combination of things that I've seen.
Do you kind of mark off the ones that you've already done?
So
have you done more than one from the same sketch?
Yes, often, yeah, often done that. Yeah, often done that. There's a particular thing that, but then you can change it and you can alter it. It can be the initial inspiration, I suppose, can come from a drawing, and then you can just. But a lot of the time when you're painting, I find this, particularly the way I work, you will start off with a particular sort of set of drawings or whatever, watercolours, whatever it is, and then it will just start to do its own thing in many ways. It's hard to know where inspiration comes from really in that regard. It just kind of, a lot of the paintings find their own kind of voice, you know, in that sort of their own direction as you're working on them, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes you can't get to what you wanted to, you know, I wanted to say something with the painting, and it doesn't always say what I want it to say.
And
so
if it doesn't, you'll scrub it.
scrub it off, yeah. It will sit. I won't have it hanging around. No, it will go. So it's just.
I guess you won't be the first artist to have done that, will you?
No, all the greats.
They probably,
yeah,
all the
Monet
greats did it.
And I mean, he used to burn his paintings in the garden.
That Leonardo da Vinci.
Him as well. I'm sure he used to
Scrubbed from here
chuck
to
it in the bin,
breakfast
didn't he?
time.
Chuck it in the bin. I don't know. It's difficult. I'm trying to work out what it is, and this is something I've been thinking about quite a lot recently, with the act of actually doing this and painting. What part of that process is the thing that really keeps me addicted to it? And it's not the finished painting, not saying I don't appreciate it, because I do.
But that almost comes on to a wider question about what is your relationship to
it's the
a
process
painting.
of doing it, I think, is what it is.
The process. Does
From
that
this-
end when you've signed it and
No.
you've reached the end? I mean, it was interesting to see your reaction to seeing some of the paintings this morning before we started out
which
with
I've
it,
not
which
seen
you
in a
hadn't
long
seen
time, for a long time.
for a long
Yeah,
time.
a long time, yeah.
What feeling did you get from them when you saw them again?
The weirdest thing is seeing older paintings. I don't tend to. I mean, I look at the painting and I critique it in my way, and I think, well, that worked quite well. I mean, I said to you, didn't I? Those two in the kitchen. I said they're all right. Actually.
And I went, that's where you're painting.
That's where your painting is, mate.
There.
Down there.
Tony Hancock.
But you know what
the
it
rebel.
is? It's I actually recall what was going on in my life at that time of painting it. I think that's what actually really comes to my mind.
Oh, does it?
Where I was, what I was doing, what I was thinking about, what was.
Blimey, what were you thinking about with Styx, the River of the Dead?
Well,
then?
that was very much my very deep.
You must have been. Were you a bit down?
No, it's weird, you know what? It's odd. It's because I do paint a lot of moodier paintings. I don't like. I've said this before in my other video I did. I don't like the month of winter for living as a person because it's dark and it's wet, and I like to cycle a lot. I'm sorry to say, and I can't do that. But for painting, I love the moodiness. But I don't find if it's a moody painting, I don't think. I always think about this with Vincent van Gogh, who was massively troubled, let down hugely. I've always said he's too pure a soul for this world to he just was. He had. Look at the paintings he painted, the joy that he painted. And yes, they have a lot of sadness in them. You can relate certain things to
you know
the
what?
work,
I had,
but they just radiate this human love.
I think you really have to see one of those paintings in reality
yeah,
to
totally.
understand
Yeah.
exactly what you meant by
You
that.
do, yeah.
And do you remember
read his letters to his brother. They are just the most. There's loads of books that have them.
I'd never particularly been a fan of. Can you be a fan of a painter?
Yeah,
but I was
I
never
think you
really
can.
I'd never really paid much attention to Vince. And until the wife and I dragged her off to Mama in New York.
Yes, I mean,
like you do.
As you do.
And,
you know, I mean, why not? You had a free
Starry
weekend.
Night, we had a free weekend.
Why not?
So we just baggered off to
You
New
know,
York.
bug off to you.
And Starry Night
Yes.
was there. And
Yeah.
I must have stood in front of that. Where
It's
it's the most wonderful
mesmerising,
museum.
yeah.
And I remember standing in front of it and it radiates.
It does.
It's just
They have an
incredible.
absolute, yeah.
And I've looked
Yeah.
on Vince with different
Yeah,
eyes
you can't
ever
help it, and
since.
especially if you read about him, read about his life, obviously, and everyone knows the kind of, everyone, oh, he chopped off his ear. I'm thinking there's so much more to just read.
body parts off.
Honestly, just read about it.
Do you know what was another thing that was nice about Mama? When we went to, when you dragged me around the National Gallery,
yes,
he forced me
forced you in there
to look at the Fighting Temeraire. I had to be forced to watch
Yeah,
it.
just-
No, it was wonderful. But the thing that really peed me off in there was the never-ending stream of students who would rush
Taking
up to a
pictures.
painting
I
with
think
their
it's- yeah,
phones,
it's
take a
one
picture.
of my frustrations. Yeah,
but-
people
Stop.
stop and look at it.
Just
Yeah,
look.
but I think a lot of it is just a case of people say, look, I've been here. Are you? But it's no. Look, stop. Put your phone down and have a. I mean, yeah, have a good look at it, because that's how. I mean, that's like with Turner. I mean, I've done my own sort of studies of that because I wanted to know how he painted. So there are books, devour books. This is what I did. Go to the tape and look at the paint. That's no better way to learn, is to look at how he painted. Stand in front of a painting and get your nose right in it and have a look and see how he did it. See what, because it's all there. You can see it. It's there.
And
you
it
can
really
see every
is an
little.
emotional. I mean, we sound like a right pair. I sound like Joan Bakewell or Melvin Barg. Do you know what I've just noticed? Actually, funny, apropos of nothing. Have you noticed that twig that's
hanging down?
Do you know
there,
what? You know, that could be Bigfoot.
yeah. It could be, you know.
The viewer, there is. I'm going to turn the camera around in a minute and interject something, but there is a very strategically placed.
It's just kind of propped itself in there, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, I don't think that could have. That didn't prop itself.
Well,
there,
I
did
don't
it?
know. I don't
Could
know
be
because I'll
haunted.
tell you for why. Because it's not related to this tree in any way, shape, or form.
No.
So where that's come from, I
You
don't
haven't
know.
got a clue what we're talking
Don't
about.
worry
have you?
about that. No,
I'll
don't
show
worry
you
about
in a
it.
minute.
We'll have a nosy. Your trick editing can
I'll
show
do
that
trick
to the world
editing
how it
and
works.
put in what we're talking about. Where were we, for Christ's sake?
You're talking about MoMA, Van Gogh,
Vince,
Turner painting.
Turner.
Yeah. Thing I always said.
I like rail. What is it? Rail, steam, and speed.
Yeah, I mean that's a cracker, isn't it? I mean, you can stand in front of one of his stormy shipwreck painting and you can hear the sea, and it's just, and I know it sounds like, but you can. But it's weird with Van Gogh. I've always said that those two, probably the two artists I adore the most. I mean, there's a lot of modern art. Hockney, I love Hockney.
They're very
Hodgkin.
different.
They are, yeah. But even, I mean, yeah.
Well,
there's-
Howard Hodgkin. who we both.
we're both
adore.
huge fans. Love
of
him to
Howard
bits.
Hodgkin.
Yeah, fantastic.
I mean, you couldn't get much more.
No, but it's all, there's a
Different.
connection with it there, you know. But I would love to, if I could have a studio day, I would have a studio day with Turner. But if I was just going down the pub with it, I would take I would love to go down the pub with Vincent.
Would you?
I wouldn't drink the absinthe
might
because
be a
I had a
bit-
rough time on absinthe once, but and he's a big fan.
Did you? You
Yeah,
haven't told me about
absinthe.
that.
Oh, I did have a rough time on that. Honestly, don't
Absinthe.
Don't drink.
I've never
But I would love to have
had absinthe. I think,
Don't
but we're
touch-
going. I'm off to Paris in the
Don't have
beginning
it.
of July.
No, don't have it. Honestly, no. I don't,
Why?
we're not going to be sponsored by absinthe doing it. It was the worst. One of the most. I'm not going to go. You don't need to hear all this. I
It's
don't.
wormwood, isn't it?
I don't know. It was
It's
lethal.
the herb-
It was
it's-
lethal, whatever it was. But it was one of his
Did you
favourite
get
drinks.
a good painting? Oh,
That-
he was on that.
He used to drink it, and I have had it. But he used to drink
Ah.
absinthe was one of his
So
drinks.
that
yeah.
could explain why sometimes when you're looking at something like Starry Night, it seems to kind of
You got a movement. It
and
could be that,
swim
maybe.
around.
Yeah, it could be that. But
It could have been that. It could have been something else, like my brain going.